Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to our first ever Destination of the Month flight. What is the Destination of the Month? I'm glad you asked. Destination of the Month is a flight that we sponsor over at Mac Air, where literally we choose a destination and everybody tries to get an opportunity to fly in there using the Mac Air schedules. Now we have somebody who actually does this for us. That's his job. He's the Destination of the Month manager. His name is Chandler. And I'd like to send a special thank you out to Chandler for putting this Destination of the Month together this month. We're flying up to Sedona, Arizona. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, why on earth are you flying to Sedona in a 737? Well, because it's in the schedules. Now, whether or not this was ever a legitimate flight, I honestly don't know, but all of our schedules were pulled from real-world flights, so it's possible that this was a real flight at one time. But I'm not 100% certain about that. Nonetheless, it's in the schedules, and so I'm going to fly it in the 737. Now, originally I was going to fly this in the Piper Malibu, and I picked that up from a particular developer that I won't mention now, but it's crap. It was a waste of $40, and so on my next flight review, when I rant, that will definitely be part of my rant, because I'm pretty ticked off about it. It was just a disaster. It was a nightmare. And I fumbled and bumbled through it like I do everything, but like it was just 1,000 times worse. And then it reached a point where it fell apart. I actually lost my temper, and I'm done messing with it. So change 12, and for those of you who are former military folks, you know what I mean by that. Change 1, change 2. But anyway, we're going to be flying this one instead. So it'll be the WestJet 737, our PMDG 737 NGX. So an aircraft that we're all very familiar with. Now that being said, these flights are not about the flight procedures and all of that stuff. We're still going to kind of breeze through the checklist. You know, some of it I'll do off screen, some of it on screen, stuff like that. You know, it's going to be, you know, we're still going to do the checklist. We're still going to have our briefings and stuff like that. It's still going to be a Captain Mac type flight, but this is more focused on the flight itself, and that is more importantly, you know, the destination, where we're flying to. That's really what the Destination of the Month is all about. And so that's kind of what I want these videos to be about. I want them to be a little bit different than you know, the typical Captain Mac video, if you will. So they won't be entirely different, but just a little bit, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So bear with me, and please don't hesitate to give me your comments, your suggestions, comments, feelings on how we do this video down below. And just keep in mind that when it comes to an aircraft, like especially like this one here, I mean, we've got tons of videos on this thing anyway, so if you feel like you're missing out on some procedures or something, well, then maybe you just need to hop on over and take a look at like the 100 other flights I have in the 737. Okay, so I don't want to spend a lot of time talking here. We've had plenty of time. You've taken a look at your flight information. You saw how the whole introduction to this was a little different. In the future, me talking for the introduction is certainly going to be a lot less, and so on. One last thing, though, before we hop in the aircraft. Do me a favor, down in the comments below, would you please give a shout-out to Chandler? Again, just thanking him for putting this together. And, you know, if you were a member of Mac Air, I'm sure you can get in touch with Chandler through the forums if you have some suggestions for Destination of the Month. So, without further ado, let's hop into the flight deck. Alright, as you can see, folks, we've got the aircraft powered up at this point. There's still a little bit of work left to do here. We have it on ground power, haven't started the APU yet. And the reason for that is that you guys have given me some feedback on where the start points are for these flights. So for those of you who are unaware, real quick, we usually start cold and dark. I'm getting away from that. If I've got a full flight tutorial on an aircraft, then refer to the full flight tutorial, and that's where you'll get all the power-up information, get to the point where we're at right now. There's no point in us going through that cold and dark procedure every time. So we do have a cold and dark tutorial now on the PMDG 737 NGX. That's out there. You should see a little pop-up in the top right corner telling you how to get to that if you're looking for it. And then you guys gave feedback, and you said, you know, I think the best place to start is right before the programming of the FMC, since every flight is different, there's different information in there and so on. And you know what? I agree with that. So that's what we're going to go with here. We need to program the FMC. We need to finish setting up the MCP, including putting in our altimeter, V2 speed, and all that stuff. Then we're ready to push and start. So let's jump down here and take care of this programming of the FMC. I've already gone ahead and initialized it. We've got our position initialization taken care of. So now we're here on our route. And of course, if you saved it as a company route, which we have, we've got it as KSAN to KSEZ right here, then you could just select that and put it right in there. Now, I think that I went the shortcut and did that when I did the full flight tutorial too, but either way, we're going to grab it here, and then I'll just show you real quick once we've grabbed that. Let me just throw in my own custom flight number because that's what I like to do. So we'll throw that in there, and we'll activate it. Actually, it's going to be runway 27, by the way, based on the weather. So runway 27, execute that. And then, now from here, let's just say we didn't have a company route. So we put in our origin, we put in our destination, our flight number, runway, and then we go to the next page, and then you can start filling these out. So these are all direct. We're not flying a waypoint, so you would just type JLI and enter here, and then PKE and enter here, and it'll put direct over there for you. But from PKE to DRK, we want to take airway Juliet 134, right? So you would type Juliet 134, select here, and then it would put boxes here, and it would require you to put a waypoint in over here. That's how that's done. It's very simple. Very simple. Okay. So off to performance initialization. Then that's our flight plan for the day, by the way. Well, you've already seen that. I've popped it up and, you know, doing all my fancy little videography stuff. But anyway, zero fuel weight. So let's grab that by clicking on it. 97.7. We're very light. Reserves are going to be 2.0. Should be more than enough. And cost index, you know it's going to be 85. Just don't even, there's no point in even asking. We're going to do flight level 330. The flight plan originally called for flight level 410. Yeah, we're not doing that. I'm not even going to try and fight with getting up to 41,000. This is a very short flight. We could get up there. We could definitely get up there. Maybe I'll step climb. Maybe I'll step climb up to it. But I'm not going to do it right now. So right now it's telling us our cruise gross weight is our gross weight is 107.4, and then our center of gravity is 24.9%. Just gives us that information. I've never mentioned that before, but it jumps up there. You could go to the next page. There's some more information here on performance limits and so on. We don't really need those right now, so let's go ahead and look at our N1 limit. Now we're super duper light. Like, it doesn't get any lighter than we are, right? So we're going to do a takeoff 2, and climb 1 I think would be good for now, because if we decide we want to go up to 41,000 or something, or if I just don't think I'm going to have time to make it, I can change that while I'm climbing out. You know, I can change it to max rate or max angle of climb, either way. So off to our takeoff page in. Flaps is going to be flaps 5. Plenty of runway to work with, plenty of, you know, we're really light. So, and then because we put in runway 27 now, it's already given us V speeds, but we haven't actually put in our departure yet, right? So let's take care of departure and arrival then. So for our departure today is going to be the Border 7, which is this guy right up here, and obviously it's going to be off runway 27, and then we're transitioning at JLI. So we select both of those, execute that, and then you can jump over here to your legs page, okay? And so it's straight ahead up to 420 feet, and then we get to Poggy 19, and then we intersect the 123 degrees that's swinging around here, intersect 123 degrees out to Poggy. Is that making sense? It's pretty straightforward, actually. Just the way they write this, I still don't, like, I always get a little confused, like, why is it written like that? But that's the way it's written. So it doesn't look like we have any flight plan discontinuities. There is no arrival going into Sedona. That's not really a surprise. This is a non-towered small airport. You saw that at the beginning of the video anyway. So no surprise there, but from flag, then it's going to be direct to Sedona for us. And yeah, I think that's the sum of it, guys. So back over to our takeoff page. Now, remember, if we want, we can go over here and we can say, okay, the runway is dry. Okay, our wind is 289 degrees at 6 knots. So if we type in 289/6 and put that up here, it's going to change those V speeds. So we got 111, 112, 120. Put in the runway wind, and now we've got 110, 112, 120. So it changes your V speeds up a little bit, right? So if the runway's wet, it's definitely going to change your V1. And then we didn't do selective outside air temperature. I think that our takeoff 2 is going to be plenty of a D rate, so we didn't worry about that. And there is no slope on the runways. So if you guys don't realize, there's no slope on the runways. Okay. Here's your acceleration height and thrust reduction height. Now, I've never really talked about these, but you can change these, right? So if, let's say we have a noise abatement procedure, we can change our thrust reduction height. We've done that flying out of John Wayne Airport before. So go back, I'm sure that video's in there somewhere, and we changed our thrust reduction height. You can change your acceleration height as well. So just something to think about there. So let's go ahead and confirm our V speeds at this point. There we go. V speeds are confirmed. We got all our information there. We do need our center of gravity and trim, so 24.9, and the trim is going to be 4.98. So let's throw that in there real quick. .97 is going to be close enough for us. And that takes care of the FMC programming. We do need, again, we need to finish up some work here. So we're at 3006 on the altimeter. Excuse me. Hold on. You got to get a Cat Mac cough in there, right? Especially first video of a series. Okay, 3006, 120 is our V2. That's a really slow V2, isn't it? Arm the auto throttle, arm the LNAV, VNAV. We're at 33,000 there. No altitude restrictions. You'll see that for your departure briefing. RTO on the auto brake there. So what do we got here? That takes us main panel setup. Let's, I don't know if I've already thrown up this checklist or not, because obviously I haven't. That's a video editing trick. But either way, let's just double check it. Minimums as desired. Flight path vector as desired. Altimeter is set local. VOR pointers are fine. We don't need to mess with those right now. Mode selectors on map. Center switch we don't need. Range selector. It's fine where it's at right now. Course we don't need to set that. Flight directors are on. Auto throttles. Actually it says auto throttle stay off. My bad. Auto throttle stay off. I always forget that with this aircraft. So auto throttles are off. Heading should go to runway heading. I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 275 is the runway heading. That's just a guess. But if that changes, that's fine. And that's the course, not the heading. I know somebody was like, what are you doing? So 275, and then if that's off, which I don't think it is, I think that's correct. So autopilots are off. No flags on the primary flight display. Auto brakes to RTO. Engine instruments are checked. Comm radios are set. We don't need to worry about those. The transponder is set, 2336, and it's off, and I already did the test. So we're good on the transponder as well. Stabilizer trim is set, and engine start levers and cut off, and that takes us to our push and start checklist. So I'm gonna break away here for just a second because I need to close the doors and stuff like. Actually, you know what? I'm not even gonna break away. Let's close the doors. So go over here to FS Actions doors. That one's open. Should be the only one that's open. It is indeed. So doors are closed. Let's set up our pushback real quick. Check ground connections. Oh yeah, because I haven't disconnected. That's fine. And we also need to start the APU. So since we got a little work to do on that, let's get the APU started up. Click it once, click it twice, do the attendant call, make sure the signs are on because I forgot to do that already. Everything else up here is good. Probe heat doesn't come on until after pushback. We're good to go on pretty much everything, guys. So let's hop back down here. So we're going to leave that as is. The nose is going to turn 90 degrees to the left. And there we go. That's going to be our pushback. So I think that'll stay like that. So like if I go to ground connections and like disconnect the air conditioning, right? Just to do it, right? I'm gonna go back here and push back. Yeah, so it stays like that. So that's good. All right. So our ground connections. Once our APU is up and running, we can finish taking care of disconnecting all of our ground connections. And it's just about there. Waiting on the APU any day. Let's see, we got all those on. Yep, we're good. We don't really need logo lights. So APU on the bus. There we go. Come back down here. Ground connections. We can remove the pitot covers, disconnect the ground power, and disconnect the ground shocks. Fantastic. That's taken care of. I don't think we need this for anything else. Let's hop over to the FMC page here. Active route legs. Come up here and let's take a look at our push and start checklist. Passenger boarding is completed. Passenger doors are closed and locked. We have clearance for push. Throttles are in the idle position. Start levers in the off position. Packs need to go off. We haven't done that yet. That's these two up here. Right click them both. That puts them in the off position. APU is running. Bleed air pressure is checked. That's this one right here. We've got plenty of pressure. I don't really know what it's supposed to be at. I've never looked, but I've never had a problem with it either. So fuel pumps all need to be on. They are. We don't have any fuel in the center pumps, so we're good there. Parking brake, we're not going to release that yet, and then we do that as we push back. So that sums everything up. I am going to hop off for just a second now. We're ready to push and start. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything and get my track IR on and all that, and then we'll push and start. We'll be ready to rock and roll. Alright, I got everything ready to go. I did lie about one thing though. I do still need this to be, I always mess this up. I do still need it to be over here so we can actually execute the pushback, and it's still there so we don't have to change anything, so just press start here.
Ground cockpit.
I feel like my chair is shaking. I think think we're having an earthquake right now.
We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion.
Somebody's probably going, what?
Roger that, ready for push. Power and air clear, doors closed. We are ready for pushback. Please parking brake, please.
Brake off.
Okay, parking brake is off. Cleared to push.
Any day, buddy. Let's go. Waiting on you. Come on. Oh, wait, that takes a while, doesn't it?
Brakes off.
There we go. Jeez. Okay, pushing back now. Let's go ahead and start with engine number 2. We're using the right ignition today. Roll it over to ground. There's the start valve is open. That's what we're looking for. Start valve open. And then we're looking for the N2 to start coming up. Once it reaches 25, we'll go ahead and introduce fuel. We've been over this many a time. There we go, 25, fuel's coming in. And then when it gets to 56, the starter will cut out. There's a starter cutout. We'll just wait a second for the engine to stabilize. Should stabilize right around 20. There it goes. And let's go ahead and do number 1. Same thing. Looking for 25 down here. Start valve is open. Looking for 25 down here, not down here. N2's moving. Oil pressure should come up and settle right around 30. And the low pressure light, the oil pressure light there, should go off when the oil pressure gets around 15 or 14, I think. But it won't do that if I don't introduce fuel, right? My bad. So it got to 29 and it just sat there.
Push is complete. Set parking brake, please.
All right, brakes are set and pressure's normal.
Push.
Okay, sir. Tow bar is on. Pin is out. Watch for the pin on the right.
Alright guys, thanks. You're cleared to disconnect. We will be watching for the pin and the release from guidance on the right side of the airplane, and we'll see you guys next time through.
Roger that. Have a good flight.
Alright, we got both engines started. Let's go ahead and roll right into our after start checklist here. We want to make sure that the engine generators are on at this point. That's these two here. 1 and 2. Okay, engine generators are on. Probe heat comes on. 1 and 2. There we go. Engine bleeds can go on. Oh, one of them was already on. That one kicked on its own. Fantastic. Why does it say dual bleed up there? You're supposed to have it on dual bleed, right? Packs to auto. Same thing with the isolation valve. Goes to auto. APU bleed can go off at this point. APU can go off at this point. External lights as required. We're going to need taxi light. Everything else is good to go. Master caution light needs to be off. Click on the recall. There we go. Nothing on the recall. Let's get the flaps in. We've got our taxi clearance. This is our taxi checklist, by the way. Taxi clearance, ground cruise out of the way, and flaps are set, which means big jump here. Boom. There we go. Fantastic. All right, everything's coming together. Let's go ahead and start taxiing down there. I need to put those spoilers back down. I had them up out of the way so I could use the FMC there. Oh, we actually don't need this now. So let's put this back over here on the legs page. Shrink that down. Brakes coming off. And away we go. Let's go ahead and let's take care of the taxi and departure briefing while we're heading on down there. All right, let's take a look at our taxi and departure briefing here really quick. As far as the taxi is concerned, it's pretty straightforward. In fact, I think we pretty much did the exact same thing in a different video just recently. But either way, we're right over here by Terminal 2. We push out. Taxi down this way, straight down Bravo, all the way down to hold short of runway 27. Doesn't really get any simpler than that, does it? Let's take a look at the departure, however. Again, not too difficult as far as the departure is concerned, but we are using runway 27. So when we head out this way, 278 degrees, which I got wrong on the MCP, but either way, 278 degrees out here to Pogie, swing all the way up and around, and we're going to intercept. Now this is, I'm sorry, this is Pogie here. This is distance 19 from Pogie. That's where we start our turn. Swing around 123 degrees until we intercept this 260 degree radial. Of course, that's all programmed into the FMC anyway, so it's pretty straightforward. And then over here to Pogie, out to Browse, and then we'll hang a left and head up here to the Julian VOR. As far as our initial climb is concerned, it says climb on heading 278 until 19 miles from Pogie, then turn left on heading 123 to intercept Pogie. Basically what I just said, right? So pretty straightforward. SoCal departure is going to be on 119.6. No, actually we're headed east, so 124.35. Airport elevation is at 17 feet, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So there's your departure briefing. Alright, let's take care of this before takeoff checklist down to the line. Master caution light is off, recall is checked, flight controls are checked, flaps are set, trim is checked and set, flight directors are on, and the takeoff briefing is complete. And all that's going to leave us is the before takeoff checklist below the line. So we'll assume we've already got our takeoff clearance, get all our lights on, including our strobe lights over here. What else we got? Auto throttle needs to come on at this point. Transponder needs to go to TARA. Try and pay attention where we're going while we're at it. And engine start switches to continuous. This one I almost always forget. There we go, continuous. I couldn't really tell if that was on continuous or not. Alright, approach path is looking good, folks. Let's just go ahead and roll her right out there on the runway. And we'll get this show on the road. That doesn't really make sense, does it? You can't really say you're getting this show on the road because we're not getting it on the road, we're getting it in the air. We're going to have to think of something different, guys. We're going to have to think of something different. Either way, let's get going. How's that? Alright, get her out here on the runway. Bring those throttles up to about 40% N1. We'll let them stabilize just a little bit. And once they're stabilized, we'll hit the toga button. Alright, looking good. Bring them up to about 40. Starting to stabilize. And away we go. A little bit of chop there all of a sudden, huh? There's 80 knots.
V1. Rotate.
Yeah, it rotated on its own.
V2.
Oh, get up there. Didn't want to climb for a second there. Almost started going back down. Okay, positive rate of climb gear coming up. Good. Get that nose up just a little bit more. Or a lot more. Get to 1,500 feet, it'll decelerate. Remember that was on that page. Which page was that? Performance page, isn't it? Or takeoff page? Takeoff page 2? Looks like maybe it already decelerated. I don't know. Either way, looking fantastic. Following our flight director right now. Looks like we can go ahead and go to flaps 2. Go ahead and turn that auto brake off. We're not going to need that now, obviously. Go to flaps 1 now. Been good so far. Let's go ahead and bring the flaps all the way up. And I'm going to go ahead and put the autopilot on a little early today. Autopilot's coming on, flaps are coming up, track IR is coming off, big jump, there we go. And let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist, folks. If I can find it here. There it is. After takeoff, gear is up, flaps are up, gear needs to go off. There we go, gear in the off position. Where are we at? Engine starters can come off. Engine starters up, fantastic. Taxi light can come off as well, there's no reason to keep that on. What else we got? Anything else? Auto brakes, engine starters, nope. That's it, folks. Which means we might as well take care of some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright folks, we're going to be coming up on our top of descent here pretty soon. As always, there's a little bit of housekeeping to take care of. I already started adjusting the altitude and then my phone rang, so I had to kind of ditch that recording and then hop back on here and try and do this again. So I paused this in for a minute. We're going to scroll down to 10,000 feet. Let me just show you here. There was no arrival briefing because we're not flying. There is no star going. There is no arrival going into Sedona, right? So let me scroll that down just a little bit. So you can see there's our top of descent point right there. And we're going to head actually past Sedona up to Flagstaff and circle back around. And that's not only going to give us a little more time to get set up, but it's going to help get us onto our approach, which you'll get your approach briefing here in a couple of minutes. So let's take care of business before our actual descent here. We've already reset the altimeter, so the aircraft will start descending on time. So that shouldn't be an issue there. In fact, I'm going to leave that right there. We do need to take care of setting up the approach in the FMC. So we'll start out, now I have chosen the approach in here under departure arrival. It's going to be the GPS 03 or RNAV, depending on how you look at it, but it's GPS on the chart. So GPS 03 approach, and then we need to go to our initial reference page, and we're going to land as slow as possible because we got 5,000 feet of runway to work with, and we're going to be at 4,700 feet when we land. So we're definitely going to do flaps 40. Now, the minimum runway necessary for this aircraft is like just under 4,000 feet. So we've got enough runway available to us. And again, this was a real schedule at one point in time because we didn't just make this thing up. So somebody was flying a 737-600 into there. So there's our VREF taken care of there. What else we got to do on here? So destination runway is good. That's put into the FMC. There's nothing to put on the nav radios. So really that just kind of takes us to our approach checklist. We're not quite ready for that yet. Here's what we need. We're going to need maximum auto brakes on this. It's going to be a full flaps landing, max auto brakes. This is going to be a good time, guys. It's a small runway. If you haven't seen Sedona, it's a small runway. So, well, you saw it in the beginning anyway, right? So at the beginning of this video, you saw what it looks like. That is not a large space. And it's got cliffs on both ends, right? So that's going to be a good time. So we're going to do max auto brakes on that. Obviously, we're going to need max spoilers, max reverse thrust, all that good stuff. So it's going to be a good time. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and take care of this approach briefing because I want to take a few minutes to talk about it anyway. Even though we don't have the terrain actually showing up on our chart, which is, that's one of the things I kind of dislike about those Jeppesen charts. I like the Lido charts, they usually showed the terrain, but either way, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and take care of that approach briefing. Alright, so again, no arrival into Sedona. There's no standard arrival procedures or anything like that. But we are going to be flying the GPS runway 3 approach. Our wind is 0 at 0, so easy enough there as far as that's concerned. We're actually going to scoot north of the airport and hit Flagstaff and then come back down here to Minji, however you say it. And then we'll turn right here 301 degrees to Bosu. And then from Bosu to Exudi, hang it right there to Lyrit, and then Lam, which is our missed approach point. And I'm absolutely positive that I forgot to put my missed approach altitude into the MCP after we took off the autopilot. Big surprise there. But on in for landing from there. If we have to perform a missed approach, it's a climbing rate turn to 12,000 feet. Direct back here to Mingi, and then hold. You can see it's 8,000 feet at Exudi, 6,600 feet at Lyrit, and then on in from there. The AWAS is going to be 118.52. This is a non-towered airport, so we'll be using Phoenix approach at 126.375, and then the Sedona Unicom, or CTAP, is on 123.0. It's a GPS approach with a final approach course of 33 degrees. Minimum altitude at Lyrit is 6,600 feet. The airport elevation is 4,830 feet with a touchdown zone elevation of 4,792 feet. Good times. Alright guys, you can see the airport right over there. Not much to it, it's just a little strip on top of that little mesa over there. So this is all going to kind of happen pretty quick here. We've got the terrain turned on so that we can see the terrain around us. Obviously we're still pretty high above it here. Let's go ahead and get that altimeter taken care of. It's 3014. Let's pop that up so we can see. I keep forgetting you can't pop it up on the captain side for some reason. There we go, 3014, there we go. Looking good. And we're pretty much maintaining our descent pretty well. We're still moving pretty fast here. We might want to bring that speed down here pretty soon. We can create a speed restriction out here at Minji. So it's 268, so we should have a decel point. There it is right there, as a matter of fact. That's our decel point right there. So we'll go ahead and just see how that works out. In fact, I actually want to change that. So it's 268. I want to change it to 220. So 220 at or below slash. Put that right there. Execute that. There we go. And it didn't change our altitude restrictions. It's just changing the aircraft getting slowed down. So change it to VNAV speed because it wants to slow down now, which is messing up our descent a little bit. So we're going to throw the spoilers out there. And as soon as we get below, I think it's 250 knots, we can go ahead and put that first setting of flaps in. That should put us back on VNAV path as well. We'll take control of the speed ourselves by controlling it, by doing the speed intervention up there as well. That's what I want to do. So, I gotta admit, I'm a little nervous. Almost could have done this for like unusual, difficult, and dangerous approaches, right? Because this is, yeah, it's a little crazy here. This is a lot crazy is what this is. We need to get her slowed down though. And what's our flat backward speed on this? We gotta zip over here to see it. Like my little sound effects there. Yeah, flaps 1 is 250 knots, so we got a minute before we get there. But we're almost there. We're almost there. As soon as we get below 250 knots, I'm going to put the first setting of flaps out and help with that drag a little. There we go. So there's flaps 1 coming in right there. Now, even though we're above 10,000 feet, we are below 10,000 feet AGL. And so even though I'm going to get a warning on my PIREP, I'm going to put my landing lights on. I don't want to mess with it later anyway. That takes care of landing lights. Let's take care of this approach checklist really quick. The approach has been selected and briefed. Nav radios are set. There's actually nothing to set in them. We want to intercept at 180 knots. We'll be slowing down here shortly. In fact, I'm bringing the speed intervention in right now. Let's go ahead and take those spoilers back out. Let's throw another setting of flaps out there. And let's get this up 175. That's where I'm gonna rest that at 175. Flaps we can go all the way to flaps 5 at this point. So let's go ahead and do that. Flaps 5. Auto brake is set to max. Auto spoilers, we can arm those right now. I use shift and tab. It's shift and the slash key, I think, for most folks. Engine start switches need to go to continuous. There we go. Engine start switches on continuous. And that's it until our actual landing checklist, which I don't actually have a landing checklist on here, but we'll kind of go through it anyway because we know what we need to do for a landing checklist, right? All right, we're coming in nicely on the speed here. I want to take this nice and slow anyway because whew, we are out there a bit, aren't we? Now Minji, we're supposed to be at 9,500, right? What has it got us at here? Oh, it did change some of these. So Baosu. Let's see, Exudi's the one we really need to worry about. I need to be at 8,000 at Exudi. So I don't mind that I'm above on these so long as I can make 8,000. Matter of fact, I can change that. No, I'm going to make it a hard restriction, 8,000. So I want it to make 8,000 feet by the time we get to Exudi. So we're making that right turn here now. Make our way across that little sort of T shape there towards Exudi. And Bosu will be next. And we're going to start bringing that speed down a little bit more. Remember, our landing speed, our VREF speed here is 115 knots. So we got a long way to go. In fact, we can go and bring that back quite a bit more now. Let's bring that back to 150. So we're going to approach at 120 and try to land at about 115. And we're still good on our flaps as far as the current setting goes. So no concerns on that. Not a lot to really talk about at this point, but you know, I wanted to bring you in early enough to really see this approach, because this is going to be something else, isn't it, guys? Woo-wee. Let's try not to forget our go-around altitude of 12,000 feet. We're going to need to set that in once we disconnect the autopilot. We will be disconnecting the autopilot. So I think right about the time we start to make the turn there at Exudi, or about the time we complete the turn, before we get to Lyrit, we're probably going to disconnect the autopilot. We'll see what happens. We shall see. We probably don't need the terrain function on anymore. We've got a good clear view of the terrain. But we'll just leave it up there for now. It's not hurting anything. Oh, it's going to be fun, folks. It's going to be fun. You know, I'm going to turn that terrain function off. I don't need it. It's just distracting at this point. Alright, looking good here. Speed sitting at 150, which is fantastic. We're making our turn here. What do we got, about 10 miles there until we make our turn? Should be able to see the airport off in the distance there, maybe. Whoa, what just happened there? What just happened there? What was that? I know exactly what just happened, and that really ticks me off. LNAV, VNAV, turn that back on. That ticks me off. I'm gonna obviously have to go in and once again delete those. What's happened? Let me tell you what just happened here, guys. For some reason, P3D keeps reassigning keys to certain functions. In this case, it's assigning the up arrow key to pushing the yoke forward. And so what just happened is it overrode the autopilot and pushed the yoke forward, and we started to nosedive there. It's a good thing I caught it right away because we don't have any room to work. Look at that. There's no room here. That's just so obnoxious to me. It really is. It's ridiculous. Whatever. It is what it is. So let's go back to speed intervention here. 147. That's only a couple knots slower than we were anyway. So we're looking good on that. Should be able to make this turn no problem here. About 5 miles to go. We'll start that right-hand turn. And I know we came on here a little early. Again, I just wanted you guys to see the approach as we kind of drop down into the mountains here. And flying this in a 737 is no joke. But I'll tell you what, flying it into that friggin' runway is going to be something else. This is going to be a test of my landing skills, that's for sure. Definitely going to be a test of my landing skills. Wow, the light just changed substantially, didn't it? At least it's clear out. There's just a little bit of haze in the distance. That's not too bad. So we should have a nice clear view of the runway. I'm going to go ahead and go to flaps 10 here. Just to kind of lower that nose a little bit, right? So that I can see a little clearer. let's go ahead and right when we're about to make this turn, I think I want to go ahead and lower the landing gear here. Let's get that gear down. Start rolling that speed back. I want to get down to 120.
Gear down.
And we're going to be flaps 40. This flaps 25 there. Coming up on flaps 30. And flaps 40. So what I'm trying to do here is there's not a lot of time to work after we make this turn. I mean, there's enough, but you know what? This approach is no joke. It's no joke. So we will, as we make the turn here, we are established and ready. We are in our landing configuration. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So let's go ahead and take care of our landing checklist really quick. Landing lights are on. Gear is down, 3 green. Flaps full. Auto brake full. We are good to go. Nothing else to do now but wait, guys. I will probably just kind of sit here and stare at it, and I may or may not continue recording. I'll continue recording, but I might just break away the video a little bit here, and that way we don't have just a bunch of blank space, right? Okay, starting that turn towards final now. The approach itself is not really that bad. I mean, it's a typical approach for the most part, although you do have some high terrain and you're pretty high up. But the landing, that's going to be the trick, isn't it? The landing's going to be the trick, because that is a small target. There's not going to be any floating it on this one, folks. We're going to put this sucker down, and we're going to put it down nice and firm. We're going to make sure that it does not float down that runway. Alright, so yeah, gonna be a good time. Alright, coming on to final here. What do we got? About 10 miles out now. You can just see the happy lights on the left hand side there. Well, I can, I don't know if you guys can, but right here, there's the happy lights there. They're all red right now. We're below glide slope. That's alright. We're actually going to continue descending down to 6,600 feet. And once we're established at 6,600 feet, then we will probably go ahead and take that autopilot off, and we'll start hand flying it from there. But I'm going to just let the airplane do its thing for now, and we're looking pretty darn good, actually. Track IR coming on, big jump here. There we go. Nice view, actually, looking at it like that. If I can get it to replay, I'm going to try and do a replay of this landing. I'll probably do one of those where you put a camera all the way up in the dash right here. That'd be a pretty cool replay, wouldn't it? Alright, everything's looking good. Remember, we need to go to 12,000 feet on the altitude setting as soon as we take that autopilot off. So we need to be ready for that. Probably leave the auto throttle on for a little bit. And now we're just kind of waiting. 6,600 feet coming up here. Still below the glide slope, that's alright. Looking good. Going to be descending at about 500 or 600 feet per minute. We should come on to glide slope here pretty quick, actually, once we hit 6,600 feet. Now it's just trying to force its way on there. Boy, look at that. I mean, from here even, you can just see that that is one small strip of land to put down a 737, isn't it? There is not going to be any room for error on this one. Hopefully we don't have to go around. Let's get that autopilot off because we're coming on to glide slope now. Alright, looking good. I don't know what's with all the... I guess the rest of the terrain was loading in there, huh? Alright, looking good. I got the auto throttles on still. Drifting a little to the right there. Alright. It's going to take the auto throttles off as well. A little high. We don't want to be high. We need to be spot on with this one. Callouts are going to be a little weird because it's going to tell us we're higher than we are, and then all of a sudden it's going to tell us we're right there. Because it's a cliff. Alright. Let's see if old Captain Mac can stick it on a short runway, huh? Short, narrow runway at that. Oh, what's with the chop there? That's not even chopped. That sucker froze up for a second, didn't it? Get a little crosswind coming in there or what? I guess so. It's minimal, but I mean the weather said 0 at 0. Maybe it's just poor piloting. Oh, my throttles are not connected to each other all of a sudden. What is that all about? See that? My throttles weren't connected to each other. They're not moving together. Oh, that's not good. Alright, we'll be alright. That was kind of weird. I wonder why they did that. Okay, we're a little low, but not too bad. We're going to come up on it here. You'll see. There it is. Looking good. Alright, let's stick her.
500.
We are not 500 feet.
300. 200. 130. 20. 10.
Full reverse. That actually wasn't too bad, huh? Not too bad at all. Give me a little credit, guys. My throttles weren't, even though I was moving them both, we got to take those auto brakes off. They weren't playing around, were they? Even though I had both throttles in the same position on the throttle quadrant, they weren't the same in the aircraft, which is a little crazy. I don't know why it did that, but that caused an issue right there. That's why we were starting to turn a little sideways. That off. Let's get the APU started. Bring in just a little throttle. Get off the runway here for the next guy coming in, if there is a next guy. Well, I hope I get a little bit of credit for that one, guys. That wasn't too bad, if I do say so myself. See if we can find a place to park this thing. I'd have to run off the taxiway there. And once I get around the corner here, we'll look at the after landing checklist really quick. But let's get around the corner first. Alrighty, after landing checklist, speed brake lever is up, flaps are up, probe heat needs to come off. I can get up there with the track IR, probe heat off. There we go, fantastic. What's next here? Engine start switches can come off. Oh, I already turned them off, didn't I? I know I turned them to continuous. Yeah, I turned them off. Turned them off while we were still out on the runway, didn't I? Taxi lights are on, landing lights are off, strobe lights can come off. Bring those throttles back a little. Strobe lights are these. Strobe lights off. Fantastic. Flight directors can go off. 1 and 2. And APU start if needed. We've already done that. And then transponder to standby. We can take care of that down here. There we go. Transponder to standby. Okay, I'm going to taxi this down there a little ways. Find a parking space for it, folks. And then we'll hop back on here. And we'll wrap this flight up. Alright folks, got us parking space here. Let's go ahead and take care of this shutdown checklist. The brakes are set. Start levers can go to the cutoff position, 1 and 2. We've already got the APU on the bus. That's important before we shut that off so that we still have power to the aircraft. We can turn ground power on. I'm not even going to mess with that right now. I'm going to leave the APU on. We're going to just consider this a quick turn without ground power available. Doors and stairs, we'll open those up here in a few minutes. Fuel pumps come off. We're going to leave those on as well. Cabin utility, IFE passenger switches, those can stay on for now. Signs can come off, however. There we go. They'll start offloading passengers here once we open everything up. Window heat can go off. Probe heat's already off. Electric hydraulics can go off as well, but that's after we actually start shutting things down. Since we're going to leave that APU running, that's going to stay on. Bleeds are going to stay on. Isolation valve is going to stay in the auto position, I believe is where it's at. Recirc fan will stay where it's at. External lighting. Taxi light can come off at this point. Everything else will stay on. Everything that was already on. Emergency exit lights will stay on. Battery will stay on. And ground power will stay on. And that's going to wrap it up for this Destination of the Month flight, ladies and gentlemen. I had a fun time with this one. It was a really cool little flight. Once again, special thank you to Chandler for putting these together. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the effort from all of our staff over there at Mac Air. I'm going to try and see if I can get a cinematic to put together for you. You'll know if I was able to, because you'll have seen it, but that's why I left some of the aircraft system, more of the aircraft systems on than I normally would, but that's alright because we're doing these flights a little bit different anyway. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. If you get an opportunity, take a flight into Sedona. It's really, really awesome. Try doing it in a 737 and see if you can stick it better than I did. What was my landing rate? You know what, let me check that real quick. Landing rate was minus 125. Not too bad, huh? I'm filing the PIREP right now, actually. Minus 125. I'd say that was pretty good. It did float just a little, but boy, I tried not to float it. I really tried not to. But it is what it is. So if you haven't had an opportunity yet, please go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Almost up to 5,200 subscribers at this point, and I appreciate every one of you. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up down below. The more thumbs up we get, I think the more popular it is, the easier it is to find, and so on. Now, if you haven't taken the opportunity, I think I say that a lot. If you haven't taken the opportunity, you know what? Go over to Facebook, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and of course, you can follow us on Twitch at CaptainMac3588. And that way, when we start doing live streams again, you'll be raring to go. We're definitely going to have to fly into this airport again. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But until next time, folks, as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all, and have a fantastic day.